revolutionize the way we interact with each other. And businesses and individuals alike have come to rely on it as a key marketing and communication tool. However, simply having a social media presence is not enough. I'm sure you know that. To really truly succeed, you need to master the art of engagement. On this episode of Make It Click, my guest, Jennifer Nichols, and I will explore the strategies and techniques you can use to build stronger online communities and foster deep connections with your audience. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Jennifer, you are a social media confidence coach. Wow, the first confidence coach I have met to date, I want to say. So this is very interesting to have you here today. I'd like to start with first, we're talking about engagement today, but let's just give our audience a general breakdown of, as I said in the introduction, just having a presence isn't enough. What are the steps in general for all the social media platforms of what we should be doing to even make a post instead of just like, oh, wait a minute, it's Wednesday, I have to make a post. Oh, wait a minute, let me throw something up there. It's like, oh, at least I got something up there. Is that a good strategy?
Oh, goodness, no. So, first, throw the have to out the window and forget about the have to because the have to is probably worse than not doing it all. So, what I would say is first and foremost, always make sure that your bios are up to date and really on point with who you are, what you do, and how it helps your clients. And then with that focus, really create a strategy and a plan for how you share that on social media. It's less about me and my business and more about how I help my clients or how my clients can do things on their own to take another step or to do one more thing or to have something to think about. So it's about sharing bits of knowledge and not just putting a post. Even when you share quotes, which is a fantastic and fairly easy way to create content, you want to make sure that it's with intention and it meets your ideal audience or it meets your business to some degree, not just something wonderful that you think is amazing. Find a way to connect it so that there's intention and not just the have to rush.
Right. So you have to think about if I understand right, like what that quote is and think about your ideal prospect, I guess, and to say, how will they receive it? What will they take in from reading this post? I guess
Yeah.
is how to look at things instead of just, oh, I like this. This is cute. I think I'll post this.
Right, exactly. Yes. So, and it can be cute and it can be fun, but it still has to be with intention and not a last minute desperation. And a good way to avoid that is to plan in advance, even schedule if it's something that you like to do.
Right. Now, okay, so that's about kind of like a meme post, I guess they call it, or just, a regular picture post.
Mhm.
What about videos, especially with Facebook Lives?
Mhm.
How much thought and planning should go into that?
I would say that overall, creating a library of topics that you can speak on easily is the best way to go. Just a paper list next to your computer is fine, or a list in notes on your phone, just so you have an idea of what topics you need to address that would help your clients, help your ideal clients. And you don't have to go, what am I going to say today? Make sure it's a topic you can talk about without having to look down at all the notes all the time, but just be able to make it helpful, effective, empowering, whatever it is that your clients need. But just having those lists and those bullet points help you have a plan and a strategy. And when you write it down, I find that you start to notice what fits and what doesn't, or what seems to be too much in like a 3 or 4 bullet. Oh, I've continually talked about this one particular hair product. Let me flip this a little bit and vary it up so you can see and not start to stack too much of the same thing up.
Okay. And along with the let's say it's a live broadcast, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or any of these social platforms. I see some people just doing the video and there's no, and I'm not familiar with all the terminology, but there's no captions or information in the text box. So as I'm scrolling through a feed, I just see they're talking about something, but I have no idea unless I click on it. Is that okay?
It isn't going to break anything, but it's not the best idea if you're going to go live or you're going to do a video. You want to make sure you're filling in all the blanks, crossing your I's, dotting your T's. So add a text so that people who aren't necessarily able to listen right now know they want to come back, or know that they want to stop and make the time right now to listen. So you want to make sure that you give them a nugget so they know what they're going to be listening to in advance, kind of like a preview to a movie, so to speak. And also you want to make sure that you say things like, hey, if you want more information on this, my website's in the comments, or the link to register is in the comments. Tell them what and where, and that way they know what steps to take, and also have that maybe scrolling at the bottom depending on how your video is going. And it is always good if you have the capability and the technology to do captions and have them generated, because a lot of people listen and watch at work and can't have the volume up, and you don't want to miss your opportunity for them to learn and hear from you.
Yeah, yeah, that's great information. Okay, so now we're going to flip it over now. Now we are going to talk about the engagement piece, because a lot of people are just throwing stuff out there and hoping that it's going to resonate with their audience, but they're forgetting, oh, they need to engage also with the audience after the fact. So, and this goes beyond the clicking, oh, I like that post. Um, so lay out what, some simple things we should be doing after we, post our information.
Perfect example is, first things first, remember that engagement helps the icky word algorithm. So engagement helps your algorithm. It also helps other people's algorithms. So it helps when you're supporting another business to throw a comment in instead of just clicking a like or a heart. Say, hey, thanks for that information, or what a wonderful thing to share, is a lot more personal and goes further. It also helps in your own social media. So asking questions is always a good way to encourage engagement, reminding people to comment below, because we all need as humans directions of what next step to take. I always equal it to a grocery store. No matter what grocery store we go in, the layout is the same. So as humans, we don't get confused. And social media needs to be the same. We need to ask people to take the next step with us and go on the journey. So asking them to comment, telling them to give you their opinion, is encouraging ways for them to comment. But when they do comment, you want to make sure you go back and comment to them, whether it be thanks for your time, or, oh, thanks for sharing that, I didn't know you love the color blue, or how old is your daughter? Whatever comes from the question you ask, you want to make sure that you respond back. Otherwise, it's just dead air and people will stop responding. We love when people ask about us and we get to talk about us. So give them that open door. For example, I just had a conversation with somebody on Facebook in a group about my daughter's prom. And we went back and forth probably 5 to 7 times. And the more we talked, the more excited I got, because I was being heard and someone was sharing my excitement. That's what engagement is. It's just like people at a party, people at an event, people we are introduced to for even a date. It is still important online to consider that same conversation and keep it going. Sometimes you can send a personal message and say, hey, I really appreciate you clicking the like button. What about the post did you like so much? Because you're just asking a question and showing interest. And so that's really important for yours.
Yeah.
But then there's other
Well,
aspects.
but I just wanted to interject here. It's like, yes, it's just like, oh, you're at a party and you're having a conversation. But boy, when it comes to the written word and making those comments, having a conversation online, there's a huge difference, and I think that's if I always thought, if I could just click a button and record a quick voice message in response to that, I don't know, maybe social media platforms will get there, besides leaving a message like that
Yeah.
in an instant message or something like that. But it as much as you say it's like having a conversation, putting it into written word isn't as easy. But yes, as you were just going to say about that's on our own posts. Now, what
Mhm.
about other people's posts, and how many other people and posts do we need to be engaging with to make it effective?
I would say that first, short and sweet is always going to be helpful. It doesn't have to be 3 sentences or 27 paragraphs, just something short and sweet on both ends, whether you're commenting on your post or commenting on someone else's. But really, it's less about the numbers and more about the frequency. So, what I suggest my clients do is set time aside morning, noon, and night. So, when you start your day, kind of the same way we were trained to check our emails. When we start our day, we check our email, check your social media, and start to look for spaces where you can comment. Don't be disingenuous. You want to make sure it really is a comment that's coming from your heart or from your knowledge and your expertise. Look for those things on Instagram, on LinkedIn. It's especially important. It's a little different on Facebook. It's valuable, but a little bit harder. But on LinkedIn, you get that feed of all those other business people. Just comments. Just give yourself 5 to 10 minutes morning, noon, and before the end of your day, whatever that looks like, before 5, at 7. Just really check in and just have a few conversations or start a few.
Mm. Okay, so everybody wants to be seen. They want to be active on social media, but then the fear sets in. Now, as I said, you are a social media confidence coach for people who are in that situation. And I think I see it a lot for people when you see somebody stopping and starting
Mm,
social media. They get into it. Oh, I've got to go, and then something happens, and they slow down and there's some fear there.
yeah.
What do you recommend to get going and keep going, and put that fear aside? And I think the fear, it's not just in the being seen. I think it's the fear of making a comment that somebody might have a problem with, I mean, there's fear around numerous things with social media, I think.
Yes.
What do you recommend?
So there is a lot of fear, and there's a lot of different reasons we have fear. Sometimes it's visual, sometimes it is judgment, and that comes in what someone will say about our post or what they'll think about our comment or how they'll respond. So what I say is that I always check in with that fear and give it a reality check. Pep talk, so to speak. Like, hey, is this really a thing? Do I really need to be afraid of this? Oh, no, because I'm not saying anything mean. Okay, then I'm good. Or, you know what? I'm not for everybody, but the people I am going to be intentionally looking to reach are going to get what I'm saying and they'll be there for me. You just have to give yourself a check and a healthy dose of reality in that moment. And sometimes that means 3 times a day. Sometimes it means just before you go live, just before you put a post up about an event. It just really depends on your level, but really giving yourself the conversation about truth and dishonest fear. It's always lying to us. And then the other thing is that I think consistency is a key. If you do not think you can upkeep with posting 6 times a day, 5 to 7 days a week, don't do it. You're setting yourself up for failure, which then creates all the other worries and concerns. Oh, I haven't done it in a week. I can't go back now. People are going to think something happened. It just starts to pile up. So just start small, 3 times a week during the week. I never post on weekends unless something fantastic is happening. So just give yourself a small piece, a little chunk that you can manage and manage it for 2 to 3 months. And then say, this is good, or I can do more. I want to do more. But I ultimately think that scheduling helps with that because then we have time to have that fearful moment and then we click the schedule button, it's there, and we don't think about it again. So I think it diminishes some of our fear and takes away the immediate anxiety in that second where we're supposed to put a post out there.
Oh, yes.
So
I totally agree with scheduling. It solves numerous problems.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, instead of waiting till the last minute, like, oh geez, I didn't get something out today. Now what do I do?
yeah.
But yeah, put it on your schedule. I was just curious what your thoughts are on the platforms where you connect with people
Mhm,
versus they just follow you or whatever. Uh, what do you recommend if someone is asking to connect with you? Do
mhm.
we accept every person that wants to connect with us? How do we handle that?
It's different on a lot of platforms, but let's just Facebook and LinkedIn is the two that I can easily kind of talk about today. I would say that on LinkedIn, I really trust my gut first and I look at their profile. Are they consistently posting, or are they trying to connect with me and they don't show up and post anything on their platform? Because if they don't post, then I know that that engagement piece is going to be really hard for me to fulfill, as well as from them, and
Mhm.
probably not as legit, or you'll get a salesy DM, and you don't want that either. And also sometimes there's a lot, for women especially, there's a lot of concern of creepers and men just showing up
Mhm.
that say they're in the military but really they're not. So there's a lot of funniness there, and so I really do due diligence in researching who they're connected to. If I'm not 100% sure it's right, I might send them a message and say, hey, thanks for the connection. What about my profile made you want to connect? Because the answer is really going to tell you what you need to know. The minute
Oh,
you hear you're beautiful, or you can buy this product, you know it's not the place for you to say yes to connecting, and you don't have to. That is the most valuable part. We don't have to. And
mhm.
the same thing for Facebook when it comes to your personal profile, not your business, but your personal profile. You don't have to say yes to everyone. And if
Mhm.
your heart says you want to, you can still categorize the groups of people you're friends with, so that, for example, all these people you meet at networking events and they connect with you, they don't have to be the same people who see your family photos. So
Mhm.
you can really segment it out and choose who gets what, the same way you would if you were inviting someone over for a dinner party. If I'm not going to have you at my dinner table, you're not going to see pictures of my kids. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
we have control, we just forget.
yes, yes, that's a good point to make about segmenting, lists
Mhm.
and, letting certain people see things that others don't. So that's a very good tip.
And if all
Um,
else fails, we can block. Just
yeah,
block, 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 block. There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with it,
yeah,
especially on places like TikTok and Instagram. Just block them.
yeah, yeah. So Jennifer, if our audience wants to know more, to get in touch with you, where can they go?
They can fast and easy find me at my website, which is www.bloomandhustle.com. And also, they should know that I just love to make social media fun. So if they want to have fun and do social media, then definitely the website's the place to start.
Well, this has been wonderful, Jennifer. I do have one final question for you, and this is more about you and your business. And when you think back to all the years that you've been doing your own business, is there something that comes to mind that you feel has helped you to make it click in your business? Something that you learned, something maybe it's even a piece of technology since your social media. Maybe there's one that has really helped you in your business. Does anything come to mind?
Oh, so many things, but I'll pick two. One is that we can throw the rule book out the window. Just because it was made a rule doesn't mean it has to be a rule for us. It's okay for us to make choices for ourselves and our business. Doesn't mean that because somebody told us to, we have to. So throwing the rule book out the window is my number one favorite rule that I follow in my life. And the other thing is that I think hiding is a really bad representation of anyone's business. So if I can impart anything, it would say just show up. Show up scared, show up on a bad day, show up with your hair messed. It doesn't matter. Just show up, because it's the one thing that made a huge difference in my social media business.
Well, thank you for that, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.